Hey there, gang. So this is song Tree, number Tree. And this is one that I wrote the lyrics for quite some time ago, a couple of years ago, from a book by Alan Garner called Treacle Walker. Alan Garner is, I think he's 89 years old, and he's still writing. He just came out with a new book a couple of months ago here in England. He's English, but I've followed him for quite some time because he's a marvelous, marvelous writer. And he writes for adults, but they're very youthful for an 89-year-old guy. Anyway, he wrote this book, Treacle Walker, and there's a boy is the main character, and he talks to this cuckoo in it. Now, that's not the main storyline, but just like any good story, I focused on the fact that this kid would go to this wall at the end of a field and talk to the cuckoo bird. I found that fascinating, and it's mystical and spiritual at the same time. So I wrote a lyric, and that was the end of it. And then I found this beat that we had been working on a couple of years ago, and I kind of dug it. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that we put together, myself and my bandmate Gary and Alex Carter and I were messing around writing songs, not necessarily for ourselves, but for other people anyway. And so we were just going and creating 2 days a week around our other work. And this beat was laying around, and we hadn't done anything with it. So I wrote this acoustic guitar figure, and what's interesting is I wrote a different set of lyrics for the acoustic guitar figure. And that was about a girl who had been abused in some way, and her friend was talking to her saying, I know what happened to you, but please don't do this, which was come back and get revenge. It wasn't going to be good, et cetera, et cetera. That was for the acoustic piece that I wrote. But then I realized if I took the acoustic piece and put it to this beat and put it with the lyrics that I had written about the character in the Alan Garner book, and again, Treacle Walker, it's an easy read, it's thin, but it's deep. You should check it out if you can get a copy. And it all came together. And then I started adding pieces, and I want you to hear it before it gets too far developed, because probably the next stage, I've been working on it for 2 days. I mean, the first day, maybe 3 days if you consider, pulling it out of the bin and putting it together again and putting the acoustic to it. Maybe it's 3 days, but the last 2 days I've been working on it and adding pieces and lap steel and some VCV rack. Again, if you all don't have VCV rack, it's free and you can make some incredible sounds with it. And it actually will work in your DAW in any software that you may want to use, whether it's Logic or Pro Tools or Ableton or Bitwig or whatever. It'll work as a plugin, but it also works as a standalone. And I created some sounds with VCV Rack, one of which I'm using. And so I want you to hear that, because the next step are vocals, and you probably should hear those next. All right, so here's the track. that's a verse and a chorus. So I'm going to skip ahead to the end of the second chorus so you can hear the bridge, and it'll give you a pretty good idea of everything that's going on. Yeah, and that leads into the last verse and the final chorus. And then there's a long atmospheric outro. So what do you think? I'm pretty happy with this, actually, and it fits the lyrics perfectly. Now, I had to chop up sections to fit the lyric, but the music and the feel, the meter, that's really the most important part to me anyway, all work for the lyric. So off to do vocals. Song 3, stage 1 is done. Vocals, stage 2, but I'm not too sure I'm going to add much more to this, actually. Probably not much at all. So anyway, let me know what you think.